Buonasera. Anyway, day 3 recap. I would say quickly that it didn't go so well, but that wouldn't be entirely accurate. It was hard. It was a tough day. I know you don't believe me with my background and my meal, but it really was. So I started off, and I had about 20 kilometers to go before the up climb. If you remember, I said I was very nervous about this day because I was having basically to start the inclines of the mountains, and that's what makes me nervous about this whole trip. I'm sure I could cycle on flat ground the entire country of Italy probably 3 times if you gave me enough time, but the mountains, I think, are what is challenging for me. So made me really nervous, like kind of sick to my stomach nervous. But I knew that at kilometer 20 it would start. So the first 20 kilometers were lovely. Yeah, it was quite a big road. I've had a lot of big roads today, which aren't fun to cycle on. So skipping ahead, I think what I've learned is to kind of pay attention to where my apps are routing me and to make sure that there's no alternative route, because I prefer to go smaller routes, even if it takes me a little bit longer, because it's just more enjoyable and you get to stop and take pictures and kind of look around, whereas people were honking at me all day today. So it started off okay. Then kilometer 20, I had a hairpin curve, my first hairpin turn, and I did it, but then I needed a bit of a break halfway through the incline. After the curve, there was a couple more, in hiking we call them switchbacks, to get up to the top, to the peak. So that was a little bit discouraging, but I was proud of myself for what I did. I don't know if I said, but I'm absolute, and if it isn't really obvious, I'm an amateur, total amateur. So I started cycling last year. Yeah, so I've been cycling for a year, but I've never done any long distance trip really ever, and definitely not on my own in a country that I've never been to before. I did do a 3-day charity cycle when I lived in Dubai, and that was what got me into cycling, actually. So it's really nice in multiple ways. Okay, so then I got up to the top and was pretty encouraged, and then those peaks and valleys continued. So even though I don't laugh, but I only really climbed 450 meters today, and then descended 450 meters as well. So what is that, about 1,200 feet? But I know it doesn't sound like much, but I hadn't. Anyway, it's because it's what makes me nervous. So for me, it was a big deal. Once I got over that, I was really high on this like ecstaticness of doing what I was nervous about doing and being successful. But then after like 10 kilometers, when I thought I was going to stop, I couldn't find a place. And so I had to go 20 kilometers and then 30 kilometers. I ended up cycling over 100 kilometers today by accident, not on purpose, because it was a tough day to begin with. So I really wanted to make it a short one. But after coming to many different places, and either the people weren't there to check me in to campsite, or it was a really sketchy part of town, and I couldn't find. I'm in this really, really sketchy town just outside of Naples, basically about a 25-minute drive into Naples north. I'm sorry, from the north. So Naples is south, obviously. It's called Castle Volturno. And as you can see, it's my terrace is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. That's a cloud, not a mountain. On the camera, it kind of looks like a mountain. But if I were to turn this 180 degrees and the hotel not be there, you would see kind of a shithole city. I thought about cycling through it. I thought a lot of times, but I had gone so far and stopped at so many different places and have been so worried. I went from one guy, like, in the middle of the countryside, standing on the side of the road with his family, bowing with his hands in prayer to me. Like, really, I don't know. I took it just as that he was pretty impressed with what I was doing. To then now, where I am now, men, like, whistling and calling at me. And I'm in, like, a t-shirt, and I've got long pants on. And I was just walking to get this dinner, actually. So anyway, what was I going to say? So I finally stopped at this place and ended up paying €45 for a night at the room, which pisses me off if you know me, because last night I paid nothing. So all day yesterday I paid €8 for my food, for my water, for everything. And obviously that was partly to do with the guy gave me free accommodation, but after coming through this city, I think one thing I've learned, skipping ahead again, about myself is that I don't think I have the guts to camp on my own. There's this beautiful, beautiful, like, preserve over here and here, but I don't know if you can see, but there's, like, a building there that it's like, that's what the whole city looks like. It's kind of a ghetto, where these buildings have kind of, like, fallen apart, and people have come and taken over and just live in these, like, falling apart buildings. I talked to the owner of this hotel, and she's from here, and she said that there was an earthquake in 1985 or something, and I guess I couldn't really, but she said that's when all the people came, and I think I couldn't really understand, but I think that's when the Italians may have left and the immigrants came, because there are a lot of people who don't look Italian, and so she said that's when, anyway, she was talking about the immigrants and how they came after the earthquake, but I'm not sure why. I didn't understand why it became a destination after the earthquake, but it's interesting. She was saying that, because I was worried about my bike. My bike is in this garage. Can you see it? It's there, in that, and I was worried that there's a, it's so funny, you fall in love with these bikes because it's going to take me. That's the only way I'm going to get anywhere. They wouldn't let me bring it to my room. I'm on the 3rd floor, and so I locked it to a water pipe in that garage, but I saw, like, the openings, and I was like, if somebody, I don't know, I had a friend who, he cycled from Germany to Sarajevo for like 2 weeks, and way more complicated and impressive than what I'm doing, but his bike got stolen, and it was in a garage, like, he was like, I was in a hostel, and it was in the bike garage, and they took his bike. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about this food that doesn't look so good on the plate, but it is amazing. So I've been cycling for however many hours today, and everywhere I've gone has said buffalo mozzarella from the buffalo. So this is like the famous region of Italy where they make buffalo mozzarella. I've had it hundreds and hundreds of times in other countries, and it's never been this good. It's incredible. Like, as you cut it, it just leaks with water, which might sound gross, but, like, it's got such a texture, and it's so incredibly flavorful. Kind of melts in your mouth, but, like, to eat it on its own is beautiful. I usually put salt, and obviously I've got some cherry tomatoes. All these things I got at stores today. Like, I stopped at one shop when I thought I was about to stop, which was like 40 kilometers ago. I got this, like, local pesto, and then that's when I got the cherry tomatoes, and I was gonna, like, kind of put it in my quinoa, because that's what I've been making at the campsites, quinoa with pesto and cherry tomatoes and olive oil. But then I didn't make the campsite, and then I came across this, I forget what it's called. Let me find out. It's called this is the bag that they come in. They give you this water. They fill it with water, and it's called a Cassificcio, and I think that's where they make mozzarella. There were pictures on the wall of the process. It's pretty cool, pretty interesting. Anyway, it's considerably different from anything I've ever had in any other place. Anyway, but very good. Like different for the better. Then I got some olives and some bread, and then some local wine. Well, it's not really local. It's from Puglia, which is not local. It's a different region, but still a region in Italy. And if you look at it, it's like it was. I had to use a can opener to open it. I just love these wines that come. Last night I had wine from a plastic bottle. They just poured it from this metal container, holding container, and poured it into a plastic bottle and gave me my wine. And anyway, it's a really enjoyable experience to taste Italy as I work so hard. I don't know if you can see this awesome sunset right now. Shoot. Let's see if I can figure out how to get it there. Isn't that gorgeous? It's never as good on the camera. Anyway, thanks for listening. I hope that you had a less interesting day than me, because that would have meant it was more peaceful. And hopefully tomorrow I'll plan. I think what main thing I've learned today is, oh, and that was the other thing, the roads. I was on big roads, so these cars would whoosh past me, and they were really close, and I was really close to the side. Like I wasn't even giving an extra inch. I was going over potholes and through things that I was like, my tire's gonna be flat. Like there's no way my tire's gonna go through all this beer glass on the side of the, you know what the side of the road looks like with all the debris that's been pushed over by the tires. And I just had to ride through it all and hope I didn't get hit by some careless driver. I will say that Italians have a bad reputation. I had just heard so many terrible things about Italian drivers, and up until today had really good experiences. But today gave credit to all the reputation. It was bad. I will say the truck drivers are usually pretty good about giving lots of breath, and you would think that they would be the worst because they'd just be angry, just be wanting, that's their job, and you're getting in the way of their job. But they're probably the best consistently. And then I would have to say the people in the north have been really good. I was going to say before, I was thinking actually today in the beginning of my cycle that, gosh, the Italian drivers aren't so bad. Like, I feel pretty safe riding. And toward the end though, this last probably 2 hours were hell. That was hell. I wouldn't do that again. So anyway, another cloud just caught some of that sun. Anyway, I guess you've seen a sunset before. Thanks for listening.